Hello, fans, and welcome to another episode of High and Tight, coming to you live on our social platforms via StreamYard. I am John Nolan, the Prep Baseball Virginia DC Northern Virginia Scouting Director. Joining me this evening is the Virginia DC Scouting Director, Jason Burton, and Virginia DC Assistant Scouting Director, Jordan Jones. We actually pre-recorded this episode on Sunday night pretty late because we had an event and we knew we were probably going to be out at scrimmages on Monday and wanted to make sure we got something out to you. So it's not live, but it is broadcasting live on our social platforms for you to watch. On tonight's episode, we are here to discuss the first weekend of the Prep Baseball Virginia DC First Pitch, which is our inaugural preseason scrimmage series. Now, as you guys know, if you were paying attention to the weather at all on Saturday, or Briarwood's Twitter account with a really good joke, if you woke up and looked out the window Saturday morning, having scrimmages was going to be rough. We were originally planned for 5 sites with pods of 3 teams at each, playing 3 5-inning games. We got 4 of those pods in some capacity. Apologies going out to Gainesville, Christiansburg, Glen Allen, and Turner Ashby, who either had their sites washed out completely or were not able to come down and participate. So we thank you guys for trying to do this with us, and we're just sorry Mother Nature was not cooperating with us in every way we could do it on Saturday. We were able to move 2 of the pods to Iron Bridge and 1 to the ARC facility in New Kent. And then through some spectacular groundskeeping, somehow or another, St. Christopher's was able to get home plate and the mound done up enough to have pitchers face live hitters. So that's enough about the logistics of things. Bert, why don't you explain real quickly to everyone the concept of our Prep Baseball Virginia DC First Pitch series?
Well, the concept of every high school event that we do during the season involves rain and torrential downpours and hurricanes.
It certainly seems that way right now. Commonwealth Classic was batting 1,000 last year. Oof.
We're 0 for 2, so it's the percentages got to get better. We got this weekend coming up, which Wednesday might put a kink in things. But then obviously the Commonwealth Classic again this spring, which we'll get into at a later date. But so the concept was basically just to try to get some different teams that don't play each other, that maybe aren't in the same class or even in the same area, or private versus public or whatever it is, and get those pods together. Let some players see some different arms, let some pitchers see some different hitters, and just kind of like intertwine Virginia high school baseball from across the state, and just give everybody a new feel of things. I know when I was coaching and playing, I wanted to see some different things. I got tired of inter-squadding and got tired of playing the same people all the time from the same area. And it was just kind of refreshing to get on a different page and see some different things and meet some new people and things like that. So that's kind of what this event was for. Obviously, again, we aim to bring 15 teams in to this event. And like you said, what we had 3, 6, 9, 11. 11 participated this weekend in some way, shape, or form, some more than others. So just shout out to everybody who was being flexible. We tried to communicate with everything, and we appreciate everyone's patience. And that's just kind of that's the concept, is just kind of getting everybody together and getting the season started and getting everybody some different looks and getting everybody some work in.
Definitely at my site at the ARC, you had McLean and Walsingham to go with Atlee, and there were definitely some parents when McLean was showing up with Walsingham. Parents were like, "Is that McLean in Northern Virginia?" And I'm like, "Yes, they're down here." Jordan, what were some of your general notes on what you saw on Saturday?
It just started off with plenty of talent. It was just good to see different teams competing against each other. Really, we had 2 state champions from last year face each other. That's something that's really neat, and I was excited to see. It was loads of talent, so it's good to see a different mix of guys compete against each other early this spring.
And I don't know about ARC, but it was pretty chippy. It was like mid-season. We got umpires out there getting trained, and some guys that are kind of new to the game, maybe a little bit, and they're getting chirped on the first weekend, and everybody's blood's boiling a little bit and chirping from dugouts and all of those things. So we were kind of mid-season for them on March 2nd.
You say mid-season. I'm going to say right now, Coach Heisel from Walsingham, he was on May 18th mode already. Like, it was Vista State Championship Day for him, and his team had that energy too. It was a little bit of fun to watch, to be honest with you.
Coach Heisel always brings it. He always brings the energy.
All right. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is we are going to go ahead and discuss not necessarily straight up players like we'll usually do post event, but since we actually got a chance to see these teams playing as teams and we're at the start of the high school season, we want to look at it through that lens a little bit. Yes, we will highlight players while we're doing it, but I want to go ahead and actually highlight the teams. And instead of me just teeing myself up here to start, Bert, I'm gonna actually throw it to you here. Why don't you go ahead and open us up here with Highland? What'd you see from them?
So obviously, very talented team from top to bottom. They have the positional talent. They have the arm depth. They have some physical bats. It's a big physical team. I think the first thing that stands out is Craddock kind of getting back to Luke Craddock, 2025 ECU commit. I guess I need to be a little bit more in depth and detailed with that. He's getting back to his old ways. On barrel a couple times, got the hands in tight there on that swing and got the barrel to it out front. So good to see him healthy, and he'll bring an added physicality and run production to this team that they need. And then moving on, like, the arms are super talented. The one that kind of stood out a little bit was Stephen Christopher, Virginia Tech commit, 85 to 87. It was a little bit scattered at times, but he really showed the ability to get some swings and misses and chases out of the zone with the slider. Slider was 72, 73. It's a little bit soft. It's got to get firmer in terms, not so much as a high school breaking ball. Like, it's a really good high school breaking ball. But as far as when he's, taking that next step in, 15, 16, 17 months preparing to go to Blacksburg, that needs to firm up. And it's more of a finisher. It was mostly a little bit out of the zone, but he got some chases on it. He got some swings and misses. So he can make some hitters uncomfortable with that pitch, and he's going to get some swings and misses with that. And then moving over to one of the bats that stood out, an uncommitted player, Brooks Graham, hit tool, length in the zone, versatile. The swing shows some versatility and some adjustability in it. I thought he did a really nice job using the middle and backside of the field. I want to say, I'm pretty sure he led off for them. So left-handed bats, got some bat-to-ball skills and hit tool. I just thought he had a solid showing. Owen Weinberger, I saw a fair number of arms throughout the day from all teams. He may have been the most efficient and best arm in terms of just early season, just pitchability and things like that. I thought he did a really nice job. 2 innings. I think he punched 5 or 6. I saw numbers. I want to say it was at least 5, I think. But yeah, the arm talent, Brady Peck up to 91, Keller Hamilton up to 91. There's plenty of arm talent for Highland, and they have some positional depth there to help them out. Nolan, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go for it.
No, you're fine. I do want to pass it to you because obviously we didn't get a chance. Jordan and I didn't get a chance to see Atlee. We know that they have a lot of guys returning from a younger team last year. But why don't you give us just a little more insight on the Atlee Raiders?
Yeah, so Atlee split the doubleheader. They dropped the first game to Walsingham. They won the second one against McLean. I think my biggest takeaway from Atlee is they've got some interesting pieces offensively, but runs might be a little bit of a struggle for them at times. They're still a little bit young offensively. I really did like the adjustment from the first 5-inning scrimmage to the second. They were able to score some runs on McLean. They were extremely aggressive, doing like the West Coast style safety squeeze with runners on first and third a couple different times, putting pressure on a defense, which might be the way that they're going to score runs. And it's okay if they play small ball, because one thing they've seemed to have from what I saw was they got a lot of pitching at the top of their rotation. They've got senior Avon Stevens, a Randolph Macon commit. Stevens was 85, 86. touched the 7, was filling it up, showing a little bit of feel for his spin there. He's going to be a pretty good option for them. And then while I know we're talking about Avon Stevens here, the other one that was the guy who started the second game is the big headliner for them, and that's 2025 Noah Yoder. Yoder was 90-92, the Duke commit, up to 93 a couple of different times, went fastball only in the first inning. Spun a couple of breaking balls in the second. He had a couple of times where he was able to lock in on that low and outside spot, but it was definitely an early season outing for him, not quite completely settled into form yet. But with Yoder, with Stevens, that's a pretty good top end there. They've got a couple of other guys as well as some depth. One that I want to keep an eye on is at 26. He threw literally the last inning. Evan Salapka. It's a long frame. His fastest pitch of the day was like 87 during warmups. So we only gave him credit for 85 during the game. I like the shape on that slider. It's got some bite. There's a lot there to keep an eye on. I don't know how many innings he'll get this year on varsity because they've got a crowded rotation, but he's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. So I liked what I saw out of Atlee. I think they're going to be a team that's going to have to create pressure early in the season to score some runs, but they're definitely going to pitch it and play some pretty good defense. So let's actually spin this back over to Jordan here. And let's go talk about the beach. Jordan, what'd you see out of Western Branch? What'd you see out of Coach Wright's guys?
One thing about Coach Wright's guys, they're going to play hard, man. They're a scrappy bunch. Got some athleticism in the lineup. Got some physicality also in there as well. But they're scrappy. They bring a lot of energy. They were probably the most loud dugout all day in both those pods. They brought the energy. They were engaged the whole time. So it created a little midseason excitement, it felt like. But I mean, starting off with Logan Adams, man, he's a hitter. Had a productive day at the plate. Picked up a couple of knocks on the day, including a loud double to deep center. But I really enjoyed watching his at-bats. They were competitive at-bats. He shows zone awareness and feel for the barrel. But definitely a hit tool with some power gap to gap. And then another guy in the lineup, PJ Tone. He had a strong day, and I really think he's the heart of that lineup. He brings the energy and the edge for the Bruins. He really gets the team going, gets some guys on base for him. He really locks in and drives those runs in. He is going to be a big-time RBI producer for them later this spring. Physicality, attacks pitches in the zone with plenty of power to the pull side. But, yeah, and then also on the mound this spring, he'll be a key piece for them, closing out games for them. And then a sneaky arm for me that snuck up on me was 25 Eli Carroll. It's a slim, wiry frame with plenty of projection left. It's a slow tempo delivery there with late intent, and the fastball just jumps on hitters. The fastball was 85 to 88. He touched the 89 early, but the fastball showed feel to the glove side. It's late life. And then he also flashed a curveball in the 75, 77 range. It's a little bit shorter shape. He threw it mixing pitches here and there, but it showed potential of being an out pitch.
All right. I messed up and want to show that Logan Adams video that I didn't edit correctly the first time. So had a couple of base hits there. So messed up that video the first time when Jordan was talking about him earlier, but wanted to give him a chance to get his video up here.
That kid can hit. I think he's third base, second base. But regardless, you're getting bat to ball and he just hits. The kid's hit for 2 years. And it's funny. Coach Wright walked up, start the day, and he always puts a smile on your face because even if he's kind of down in the dumps or they don't play well or something like that, he's going to say something to make you laugh and kind of keep things light. But he walked up and he was like, "Hey, I got one for you today." He was like, "Just watch." And I, honestly, I was watching the other field, so I didn't get a chance to see Carroll pitch. But I saw the tweet and I was like, holy cow, just kind of out of nowhere. I mean, we haven't had a chance to see him. We've seen Biernot and Tone and even Molescu and some of those other guys. And we just hadn't seen him. So I was kind of shocked, but you know what you're getting out of those guys when they show up.
No, for sure. And Wright's always got a couple of hitters. As long as I can remember doing prep baseball report, whatever our name was at any given year, Western Branch has always had some guys who just hit the ball. They just hit. They just don't mess around.
I think Tone is gonna I talked to Coach Wright about this before the game. Like somebody's got to take Nick Poole's production from last year, and Poole was huge for them at the top. Jordan, where did Tone hit? Not that that's where he's going to hit. Where did he hit yesterday?
Third.
Who led off?
Jacob
did. Yeah, so you got bat to ball right there, and I'm sure those 1 and 2 spots are bat to ball and hit tool and stuff like that. But Poole was so dynamic for them at the top last year. You know, when he singled or when he walked, it was going to be a double because he was going to swipe second. So I'm not worried about necessarily, you know, for me losing Poole's defense in center, which he was really good. Jacobs will do a really nice job, or whoever they have out in center will do a really nice job. But being able to provide that dynamic offense, I think, like you said, I agree that Tone's that guy. It's going to be huge for them.
All right, we're going to go back to my pod over at the Arc. We're going to talk about Walsingham. The Trojans, Burton, how many state titles in a row have they won in Vista Division 3? 6, 30, 57?
Zillion.
As long as I can remember.
Yeah, I don't see it changing.
No, and I definitely that's my biggest takeaway from Saturday watching them is, like I said, they're already in mid-season form and playoff form almost. There's some energy coming out of that dugout. One of their top players wasn't playing. He had his wisdom teeth taken out. I think it was either Thursday or Friday. But still pretty good showing from them. A guy who really, really jumped out to me, barreled a couple different balls, big physical kid, is 2024 first baseman Sean Souza. He's a George Washington commit. Hits right there, smack dab in the middle of the lineup for them. Like I said, hammered a few different baseballs, including potential future teammate Aiden Carey, gave him a ride to deep center. On the mound, they looked like they were about 3 or 4 deep, which if we're in VHSL Class 6 could be potentially a problem, but in Vista Division 3, he's going to be stacked there. First guy who threw for him, thought he threw very well, very competitively against Atlee, was 2024 Davis neighbor. Davis, a Hampton Sydney commit. It was mostly 2 to 3, got a couple of 84s, basically just threw fastballs, was pounding the strike zone and competing, moving the ball in and around the zone. He'll be a very effective arm for them, like what I saw out of there. And one to keep an eye on, and I think we've seen him at a couple of things too. I want to say he was at the Fall State Games. 2026 right-handed pitcher Matthew Swanson. He's got a big frame. Got a couple of 6s early in the game. A lot of 4 and 85 for him. He didn't throw it that much, but I really liked the slider that he dropped. There's a decent one. I don't know where the umpires were missing some stuff there. So, which we said everyone's on preseason, but I really liked some of him. He's a big kid, 6'4", 6'5". It's a long frame. There's a lot of projection there. They had him start the second game. Both of their starters ran out to 3 innings, so they were already a little farther along on pitch count than most everyone else is. I mean, it's not like that they were running up a massive pitch count, but they were more 40-45, whereas most of the other pitchers were 25 or so. So I saw a lot to like there. They've got that core group of seniors with Sousa, Neighbors, a two-way player, a couple others in that top half of their lineup that I think are going to be really good for them and are going to lead them. And they seem poised to be the favorite in Vista Division 3 again. Anything else either of you guys want to add on them? Just in general?
Swanson was at preseason All-State in Norfolk. And the breaking ball, I thought it was more, and he may have shown one day and one the other, but I thought the breaking ball in Norfolk had probably a little bit more 12-6, a little more curveballish, but it was tight. It wasn't bigger shape. And it's like you said, it's a super long frame. It's a higher slot. It's downhill. And Sousa's for being like, and he's not like big donkey, but like he's a big physical kid. It's some sneaky athleticism. He gets out of the box well. He moves well for his size, and big left-handed power.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, Swanson's breaking ball was a little more 10-4 on Saturday, but you know, when you're young, sometimes that's the thing that happens. Why don't I throw it, since Jordan's been sitting over there all quietly and pensive, let's throw it back over to you here. We'll go a little out of order here, and let's talk about Cox. Class 5 coming up to play over there. So what do you got on Cox this year, Coach Hittner's squad?
Cox is just they're loaded, man. I think they're going to be a pretty good offensive team. We didn't get to see Irby on Saturday. I think he has an injury, but I mean he's going to be a big part of their lineup. But Parker White, new addition from Cape Henry, he had a very strong day. He picked up a couple of hits to go along with a double into a deep right. But what I really liked about that AB specifically was that it was with 2 strikes and he was able to cut the swing down a bit, just put the ball in play. As we all know, White has raw power and he knows how to get to it. But the fact that he was able to contain it and still get to the power in a 2-strike approach was really impressive to me. And I think he's going to be a really good addition to the Cox lineup this spring. To go along with their pretty deep pitching staff that I thought, James Godfrey, he was pretty solid. He was up to 89, I believe. But he showed some potential to be a pretty good arm for their staff.
All right. Bert, you were ping-ponging between the two fields. Did you see anything else that you wanted to add on Cox?
Yeah, no, I really liked Lemke. He's athletic, 26. I want to say he's a quarterback at Cox. I'm 99.9% sure he plays football, and I want to say he either current or potential future quarterback starter, maybe. There's some arm talent there. He was up to 86. He's athletic. He's a quick mover. Wanted into work, just like what I saw. He just attacked, and like I said, he's athletic and he moves pretty well. So I like that. Bradshaw at third, the freshman. Man, that kid's a high energy kid. He is an energy giver if you've ever seen one. He came off and talked to us before he left, and just really nice kid and just kind of upbeat and life of the party type thing, but he can really defend at third. And being, with some of those upperclassmen in the lineup being down in the order, maybe will allow him to kind of settle in. And i.e., the way that they did Irby. Now, Irby, I think, was a pretty advanced hitter at that age. And I think Colt's a little bit more he's more defensively advanced than Austin was at that age, but both of them were starters or potential starters as freshmen. So I think that'll be big for him to kind of gel into that lineup. But yeah, just a well-coached bunch. Speaking of energy givers, if you've never had a chance to see TJ down there at third base, he is captain energy giver. He brings, he's the life of the party, and he brings it every single day. But yeah, just well-coached club. They develop players, they develop talent, and they're big and physical and strong. There's no days off in that program.
No, absolutely. Let's stay down in that portion of the state, not quite into Virginia Beach here. Let's go to a Class 6 state tournament participant from last year here. Bert, why don't you talk about what you guys saw from Grassfield this weekend over there?
Yes, what's Region 6A runner-up behind Western Branch, and then got knocked out by Freedom, I believe, in the first round.
Batting 1,000 there. Steel trap.
Yep. I tell you what, like they had a 26. I think we've seen him, maybe Jordan, and maybe you're not sure, but I want to say SBA. Might have been an SBA guy in a tournament in the fall or summer, if I remember correctly. I know we've seen him in tournament. I want to say it was with them. And Nolan, I'm gonna try not to butcher this. Giacomo. That's the way Nolan told me to pronounce it. Giacomo Franco.
I think you managed that. I hope that's right.
I'll even go Franco. But left-handed pitcher, sophomore, left-handed bat. He had a couple hits. Showed some good bat to ball. Some length out front. It's a pretty level path, contact bat. Gap to gap, line drives, not some big power threat. But I tell you where I was really impressed. I was really impressed with him on the mound. He was 80-83, up to 84. He showed a handful of secondary pitches. It was nothing like, advanced spin or change ups or some big secondary arsenal. He relied heavily on the fastball. And honestly, Like, obviously, I don't think this kid pitched at all. It's probably his first time pitching on varsity, outside of potentially, I think they might have scrimmaged last week, last Saturday, the first Saturday, I believe. Outside of that, like facing a pretty loaded Highland lineup and just went right through the first 4, 5, 6 hitters with fastballs. Just went right through them, just attacked 80, 83, touch 84, and did not flinch. I was pretty impressed with him. And then a 25 that we've seen, Josh Long. Again, we're talking energy givers. He's pretty electric in his mannerisms and how he handles himself on the mound. He football player as well, I'm pretty sure. But really, like, for me, and I was a closer, so I get it. High adrenaline, kind of like come out the gate 1 inning. That's what I've seen, and that's what I think. Just because it seems like he comes out that first inning and he is like amped up, juiced up, ready to go, and you can kind of see it even out after that first inning or fall off just a little bit in terms of the energy and stuff. And I think that affects the way he pitches, just that downtime in the dugout. But really impressed when in his first inning he attacked. He's a strong kid. The frame has really cleaned up. He's leaned out. He was up to 86, I believe. He was like 83, 86, 83, 85, touch 86. Showed a bigger breaking ball, but I thought he did a really nice job that first inning. I could see him being a back end guy behind somebody like Zayak or something like that. Just come in there and get you, 3, 4, 5 outs. He's just got to keep that. He's got to keep that energy and keep that attacking mentality.
All right. Let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and wrap up what we saw at the Arc here, and let's talk about McLean. Highlanders from Class 6, Region D. Younger team last year, had some tough time with scoring runs, losing tight games, giving up runs, that kind of stuff. But they got a lot of their pieces back. Generally speaking, I like what they have coming with them. I will say, I thought their center fielder, Gabriel Pegues, 2025, man, every time I see him, I forget how big he is and how quickly he moves for his size. Boy, and boy, can cover some ground. His swing looks a little shorter than it did last year. So that'll be one to watch for them. But if we're talking offensively for McLean, you begin and you end the conversation with Yuta Shimo and Ethan Ball. Shimo had some tough luck on a couple of hard hit balls just right at infielders. I think he actually smoked one off of Yoder that went for a double play because he one-hopped it right onto second base, basically. But Ball, the Virginia Tech commit, 2025, middle infielder, played second base in the game, hit the 2-hole, his very first at bat, stepped right in the box and absolutely ripped the second pitch he saw for a sharp base hit to the right side. He's added a lot of strength to that lower half. It is thick down there. Boy can do a squat now and maybe even some deadlift too. But the swing is still short. I do remember seeing him for the first time 2 years ago, and he looks like since then he's probably 20 or 30 pounds thicker, and it's a good thicker right now. He can still move. He's still got his flexibility. The hands are still incredibly fast on that swing. So we'll start to see how that power starts to translate for him. So I really like that. And then McLean on the mound, it's going to be interesting to see how their depth shakes out. They have a lot of guys. Senior Aiden Carey, the George Washington commit, was what we've almost always seen from him. Extreme low slot guy, filled up with a lot of movement, throw a slider. I really liked seeing Jack Nance, the way he came in. He worked super quick. Like, Burton, you're kind of quick when it comes to that. Was filling it up, 83, 84, top couple fives, attacked the zone. I mean, he might have gone through his 2 innings in 7 minutes total. So he was working fast. Another one to keep an eye on here, Christian Dre, a Richmond commit. Dre was 85 to 88, got up to 89. Physical, thick flame. Richmond commit, not a Maryland commit. Yeah, I know I have my notes wrong. I think I said the right thing, though. Big physical frame, 2025, right-handed pitcher, got a lot of late life on that fastball. Didn't get into the slider count that much. When he uses a little more breaking ball, though, it's a swing and a miss pitch. But the one that really jumped out for me is one that didn't get the pitch very much for them last year, just circumstances, a little dead arm kind of during the season, but it's going to be a really interesting one, a chance for a breakout for them. And that's 2025 right-handed pitcher Alex Gonzalez. Gonzalez has got a super quick arm. It's a lanky frame, way low slot there. He was 85, 86, touched a couple of sevens. I really like the way the breaking ball worked. He was just attacking the zone, punched out, I want to say 4 hitters in his 2 innings, definitely punched the side out in his first. Really, really worked well. It's going to be an interesting piece for them. So there's a lot of volume of arms there for McLean, which for a team that at times last year gave up a bunch of runs, will be interesting to see. Now, they had some defensive stuff to iron out on the day. I think all in all, though, that's going to be a lot of good choices there for Coach Dowling when it comes to pitching. I think some of those high-end bats in the middle of the lineup, the athleticism Pegues offers at the top of the order and defensively in center, there's a lot to like there for McLean. We've got them ranked for a reason. So hopefully we'll see how the season goes. That district this year is absurdly deep, as we talked about in our region previews. Anything you want to add, Bert?
Well, I was going to say, like, they have plenty of depth on that staff, and not saying that, an extra year doesn't solve the problem, solve any issues, right? The issues may, still be there and it may just be a day-to-day, an outing-to-outing thing or whatever, but you have the depth there to potentially, hey, not your day, next man up. Like we got these 2, 3, if you pot it or something like that, we got these 2, 3 arms for the day, and we're going to roll with them. And if it's not your day, we're going to roll to the next guy. And then that kid that arm bounces back, maybe 2 or 3 days later, because he's not up in pitch count, and you didn't, necessarily leave him out there to dry or anything like that, and then ruin him for 2 days. So there's plenty of depth for them to have an opportunity to compete, whether the arms have taken that next step or not.
No, absolutely, for sure. So they'll be interesting to track this spring as we go through that. Bert, let's go back. We got 2 teams left over there that were at Iron Bridge. Why don't we go ahead and start with Deep Run? What do you got on them? How'd they do or look?
I tell you, as some of the arms, you could tell it was, just early season, right? First day out. For most of them, it's rained in Richmond like every single day. So some of the arms, I think, were maybe a little bit down from where we have seen them usually. I thought Sam Bennett looked solid. He was low 80s, I think up to 84. Did the usual Sam Bennett thing. He can really spin it. Smaller lefty, VMI commit. I tell you, the one arm that may have impressed me the most for them was a guy who we've seen but haven't necessarily seen him like in the high school setting versus a pretty strong hitting lineup he threw against Highland, and that was Parker Noonan. I thought Noonan looked really good. Especially with the changeup. That's one of the better high school changeups that I've seen. And he can throw it at will. 82, 84. He ran one pitch up to 86, but really sat 82, 84. When he got ahead and he used the fastball, which wasn't often. He got ahead often, but he didn't usually go to the fastball to finish counts. He went to the changeup. And I thought the changeup was really good. It's a well above average high school pitch. It plays really well. The arm speed stays the same. He just absolutely kills it before he gets to the plate. And I thought it was really good. 2 positional guys, Eric Scoas, who was a catcher. He had a hit late in the second game off of a good arm for Highland. And then Vince Baccara was playing some shortstop for them. I know Jordan and I got a chance. We bumped over there in the first game, saw him make a nice play, showed some arm strength across. So they have some pieces. They have a lot of arms. They have some depth on the mound, I should say, with arms. And the offense, similar to like an Atlee, they're going to have to show some dynamic ability to score some runs to kind of give that pitching staff some relief. But they do have some solid arms.
Okay. And then that leaves just one team left. And since it's Burton's favorite team in all of the world to talk about, I'm going to actually throw it to Jordan here to talk about Hanover. Jordan, what'd you see in the 3-time defending Class 4 state champs?
Yeah, I think it's just really early in the season for them. Defensively they weren't as crisp as usual, and then also at the plate the bats weren't going as they normally are. But I mean, it's early in the season; they'll get to going. Coach Kane will put a plan together for them, and they'll be right back there making a state title run. But I mean, one of the arms for me that they had plenty of depth on the mound that I really liked on Saturday was Bryce Crimes. I think he'll be called upon to fill some big innings this spring for the defending state champs. And I think he's ready for the challenge. He got to start in game 2 and was strong in his couple innings. He showed some poise and confidence throughout his outing. Ran into little trouble in the second with some defensive miscues, but I mean, he found his way out of it. I really like the way he moves down the hill. He's athletic with pace and intent. The fastball was 83, 86. He was really working the corners on hitters with the fastball. Then the pitch for me was a slider, and I think it can be a true out pitch. It's a harder slider, 77, 79, and he got some swing and miss with it early in counts and 2 strike counts as well. Just threw it on the outside and just let it work. But I mean, he shows confidence in it, and he can be really good out pitch for him going forward.
All right, Bert, I'll let you in. Anything you want to add on Hanover guys here?
No, Jordan, sorry, I kind of checked out. Spiller, did you touch on Spiller?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Nah, he just did Crimes.
That's what I thought. But like I think Spiller would be a really good pickup for somebody. I think the kid can hit, hands stay inside, left-handed bat, athletic. I think he's gonna be huge for Hanover this year. I mean, he's a 24. I know it's late. I'm telling you, this kid has a chance to be an impact guy at the next level. And again, athletic, arm strength. I think it's bat over arm. He again is kind of raw and just a thrower on the mound, and the stuff like to back up the fastball and arm strength isn't amazing. But third baseman can defend, arm strength across, can run, athletic, left-handed hitter, shows some bat to ball. So I think he'll be huge. And then Evan Nix got to start in the first game. You don't see it often. 4 strikeouts in the first inning. Okay. It was a changeup that he struck a hitter out on, and as not a wild pitch, but a pass ball. And the runner reached, and then he went on to strike the next couple guys out. So 4 punches in the first, 84, 86. Fastball got swings and misses up in the zone. Breaking balls, sweeper, if you will. It has some shape to it. Oh, look at Nolan with the face. It is what it is. People can get angry, like the old man yelling at the screen.
If they're still listening at minute number 37 to catch that and then lose their minds on that, I guess we can get away with it.
Get off my lawn. Those guys, there's plenty of those out there these days. But no, I think he's for as far as arms go for that team, he's the keys to the car. They're going to need to. It was funny. I texted Coach Kane. I was like, "Yeah, you need to throw him." They play Friday, Mondays. I was like, "Hey, throw him both days." It's like 2-3 innings and let some of those young bucks kind of grow a little bit. But I think that kid's a competitor. You know what you're going to get out of him every day. The offense. I mean, they've lost so much the past 2 years. They've lost so much. You got an SEC catcher and arms that are drafted or playing in the SEC, and Williamson was 4A state player of the year last year, and it's a lot to overcome to be able to kind of reload every single year like that.
That all being said, we all fully expect them to manage. So absolutely expect to see them still playing in June.
I'll tell you what, that's a with Mechanicsville and Atlee in that district, that's tough. They may be 0-0 Atlee and Hanover in the 14th inning. One night, but I'll tell you what, it is gonna be intense.
Just got to get into that Region 4B tournament and anything can happen.
Yeah.
All right. There was one other site. We've been talking about the 2 pods at Iron Bridge and the one at the Arc. We were able to get a little bit of action in at St. Christopher's. I have no idea how they got that field playable. I really don't. Hat tip to their grounds crew for even getting the mound and the plate manageable to be able to do hitters. Maryland, Virginia director Jerry Shank was there. St. Christopher's and John Battle were able to do some kind of live hitters. Battle spent the night Friday night, so they were already kind of committed in being there. So we were glad we were able to get something in for them. Jerry was kind enough to send us over some notes from St. Chris. Bert, you want to highlight some of these guys here for us?
Well, first thing I want to shout out is Coach Simondera at St. Chris and the grounds crew, obviously, and everyone involved with St. Chris for communicating and staying on top of it and allowing and being a great host for John Battle. I know they went inside and got some BP and did some things inside, and then got out there and got some hitters and pitchers going. So Battle's a 4.5 hour ish trek from Southwest Virginia. So they stayed up here, and I'm sure they had a great time. But it was great for them to get a little bit mix a little baseball in as well, versus somebody besides themselves. But yeah, St. Chris, Henry Knighton. I know talking to Jerry, like he was a big winner for him on the day. Knighton really carried the load on the mound for them last year. Without that was out with injury last year. He's back. But Knighton, looking at the video and looking at the numbers and stuff like that, up to 88 yesterday. Showed 4 pitches, mainly fastball, slider, curveball. Jerry said the fastball or the curveball and slider blended a little bit at times, so showing some similar shape and stuff. But strike thrower, like the pitchability has been there. The kid fills it up. He's efficient. You know what you're going to get out of him. And he's got a chance to kind of be their workhorse and their guy this year on the mound. Jerry said he was really aggressive in the zone, and again, it was really good when for me, when I got a chance to see the fact that he's made a 3-4 mile an hour jump on the mound, and I think that's going to help them a lot. And then another arm for St. Chris, VMI commit Jim Doubt. Jim, I hope I did not butcher your name. But VMI commit, senior, Jerry said things are, moving in the right direction for him. 82, 84. He really liked the breaking ball. Really thought that showed well. And I think at this point, is just him trying to get his legs back under him and get not fully healthy. I'm sure he's fully healthy, but just get kind of fully in tune with being back on the mound and being in that game setting. I'm sure he took an extended break. Obviously not just coming off of the injury, but making sure he's fully healthy before this season and working himself back up. So I think that'll be huge for them to have a quality addition with Knighton on the mound. And then for John Battle, Porter Gobble, Future Games alum, 84-86, early in the outing. Breaking ball showed some depth. Jerry said probably a little bit firmer, but it's bigger shape. Change planes. So he'd like it a little bit firmer, but plenty of ceiling. Looks to be a big contributor. Left-handed hitter. I think he'll play short when he doesn't pitch. And I know in the past when he was on the mound last year, Elijah Childress, who started at third, when Porter was at short, when Porter's on the mound, Childress usually slides to short. That team is they've been young, but they still have some youth. Obviously, losing Hankins is big, but they still have some solid pieces in there on the mound and offensively. You got some young guys, Palmer Gobble, Porter's younger brother, who's a freshman, Casey Rector, Caden Sturgill. Caden Sturgill was a starter as a catcher as a freshman. I think, they got a chance to contribute quite a bit this year and grow up, but they showed some depth. Knighton and Doubt That are the workhorses on the mound. The offense, a lot of it, I think, will come from Willie Hurt, Joseph Connor, Knighton, Neely being out for the year is a big blow because he's dynamic offense and threat on the bases and things like that. But there's some young pieces to watch. Chuck Gunn, Gibson Beck, those are some guys to watch for them. But I think, like I said, the three main in that lineup are going to be Hurt, Connor, and Knighton. And the fact that they're able to roll guys like Knighton and Douthat out there on the mound will help that offense kind of grow as they limit offenses.
All right. So it's pretty close to about it here for us. And Jordan, it's been a minute since you talked. You going anywhere this week? Any games on your schedule, scrimmages you got lined up before this weekend?
Yeah, I'm planning over to go see St. Chris and Glen Allen play on Tuesday. Get to see, hopefully, Daniel Nienaber, see how Glen Allen and how they're doing this spring. Get over to see those guys, see how they're rolling.
Bert, I'll ask where you think you're going, knowing that you're going out probably 11 times in 6 days.
Wednesday doesn't look promising. But yes, I intend on going out Monday and Tuesday. You never know. Never know where I'll be.
All right, and I'll probably be out and around too. Make sure you're following all of us on social. We have announced our summer event slate and posted the Summer State Games, the biggest event in our Road to Lake Point series this summer. If you have not done so, make sure you request your invite ASAP. That event will sell out. We sent our first round of invites out a week ago. If you did receive an invite, please, we urge you to immediately register. We have another batch of invites about to go out. Make sure you're following all of our stuff on the website. We're going to roll the top 10 of the preseason Power 25 this week. We've got updated player rankings, and we've got our preseason all-state teams all coming as well. A lot of coverage on the website, so make sure you're checking all of that. With that all said, that's a wrap. We'll be back next weekend. In the meantime, we'll see you out there.